Hello. My heart goes out to Taylor Hawkins, the drummer of the Foo Fighters family. Taylor was found dead in his hotel room. Um, and my heart goes out to his extended family, the Foo Fighters, and everybody else has been impacted by this horrible, horrible tragedy. I feel like there's a message in this experience for all of us to learn from, and especially those of us who have major Aquarian energies like Sun, like Taylor did, Mercury, like Taylor did, or Moon or Rising as well. But again, this is something true for all of us too. I think at this time there is a lot of pressure, being that Saturn is in Aquarius, being that it's conjunct Venus, conjunct Mars, and pressure is not bad. We'll cover the positive part of this in just a little bit, but I think that considering, again, I think Taylor's horribly unexpected death is a really good reminder for all of us that, especially with this weekend, being that Moon is in Capricorn for all of Saturday, and then it'll go into Aquarius for Sunday and Monday as well. We have a lot of pressure out there, and before we get to the good stuff of how to work with this, I just want to say, hang in there. Hang in there. Don't give up. It's not known how Taylor died, but I'm guessing it was from a heroin overdose or a drug overdose. This is pure speculation. I have no idea, but I'm guessing that was the case. And somebody's driven to experience those kind of drugs, like Taylor had experienced before. And there's no shame with addiction. Addiction is just an illness that we have to solve and to heal. But he had been addicted to heroin when younger. And I think with this kind of pressure, I just feel like looking at the charts and looking at the experience, I think what happened was he was overwhelmed by pressure, and he just got carried away. And he was trying to cope with the pressure, but not in a way that was very good, very healthy, because that kind of drug is a path of death. There's no casual use of that, and unfortunately it kills so many people. So I think that's really important to keep in mind too is, well, okay, one step at a time. Let's look at the pressure. We have a lot of pressure. Saturn's conjunct Venus, is conjunct Mars. Issues of feeling lack of love in life, especially that go back to childhood, are coming to the surface. So it is so important to be able to give yourself that love, to give yourself that unconditional validation and approval, and again in love, that perhaps you didn't experience, if you didn't experience it from childhood, if you didn't experience it or aren't experiencing it now in your relationships. It's so important to love ourselves, and not in a vain way, just in a very real way of just being there for ourselves, taking care of ourselves, and doing our best to give ourselves what we need as per love, and to surround ourselves with people who give us that. Again, even in Taylor's case, where I know he was surrounded by such loving bandmates, I feel like I don't want to focus too much on that, because again, we have, life is for the living. But I just feel like there's some old wound perhaps that wasn't healed, and I think again that's a really good example for all of us, that we need to focus on moving forward with our wounds and healing them, and again taking care of ourselves, even if we were taught to not value ourselves, if we were taught to not love ourselves, etc. The other part of this is, and this is the positive element of all of this pressure, is to just get to work, focus on what it is that we need to accomplish this weekend, and especially with Saturday, just get started right away, because we're in a tricky spot, because the sun is in Aries, so it's moving forward, but we're still in the last lunar cycle of the previous year. The new moon that started with, I think, essentially like the first couple days of March, something like that. The next new moon is next Friday. I don't know what day that is. I think it's like April 1st, perhaps, actually. And the sun and Mercury and moon will all be together in Aries. So that is when we'll fully be moving forward. So we're caught in this kind of interesting spot, because the sun is in Aries, but Mercury, in a way, is still in the winter type mindset. It hasn't joined spring yet. And so is Venus, and so is Mars, and so is Saturn, and so is the moon too. And the moon will be there until the new moon next Friday. So we need to balance both of these things. On the one hand, Aries is saying, let's push forward, let's move forward, let's grow, let's do action, but we can't move forward too fast. And again, I don't, I hate to dwell on it, but I think that's probably what happened with Taylor, where there was so much pressure, but then also like wanting to move forward or wanting to escape the pressure or whatnot. And sometimes we just have to deal with the pressure and work on things and handle things. Again, I don't know his situation. I don't want to speculate on that. But I think that's something that's a good example for all of us, is to not push forward too quickly, and to be mindful of accidents, because we're not quite at the new moon yet. The sun is saying, let's go, let's go, let's go. But Mercury is right about to cross into Aries. I mean, we're already feeling the influence with Mercury being on the cusp. On Sunday, Mercury will go into Aries. Moon will go into Aries next Friday, but we still have Venus and Mars conjunct Saturn. And for the next couple of days, basically for most of this weekend, or at least Saturday, Mercury is not there yet. So I think that's a good idea, is to look at it in that perspective. Okay, next Friday is when we are hitting the ground running. Let's move forward. I'm moving forward with several different projects of my own at that time, taking things to that next level. And I'm just biding my time. I'd love to do it quicker, but it's not quite the right time to be able to expand on that next level. So I think that's really good to keep in mind. And part of getting to work is Mars being conjunct Saturn, as well as Moon being in Capricorn. And Venus being conjunct Saturn too, but especially Mars conjunct Saturn and the Moon in Cap, that all of that energy is about just focusing on the bare minimal, getting stuff done that needs to get done, and being patient, handling the pressure directly. So whatever it is that's on your mind, if you're feeling down with something, if you're feeling demotivated, just get to work. Get to work with things that are going to be helping you to grow long term. And just follow through. That's really the key. And if one aspect of what you're working on is challenging you, is frustrating you, as oftentimes happens with Mars and Saturn, just shift your focus to what you can grow, what you can move forward with. A lot of us want to be pushing ahead with certain things, but we're feeling, with Saturn conjunct Mars, and especially with this weekend with the Moon being conjunct this stellium, all these multiple conjunctions, and being in Capricorn, we are really going to be emotionally most happy if we're just focused on taking care of business in the ways that are most impactful right here, right now. Again, Saturn conjunct Mars is great for long-term vision and planning, but ultimately we're all probably feeling some kind of sense of restriction, so we're not quite able to do the long-term goals, perhaps, but we are able to do something right now. And maybe we're not able to work on this, but we are able to work on this. So that's really important to keep in mind. One other thing that I wanted to mention is I'm still doing the 20% off all readings for the rest of March. So if you'd like to get a reading, come book a reading, and we can cover whatever you like, whether it's love life or life purpose, whatever you like. I'm always open for readings, and I'm always happy to read for anybody who's open. Whether you have questions or you just want a more general reading, come get a reading. The information is in the description, especially if you're experiencing a lot of pressure at this time. Again, coming full circle, we have so much energy that's moving forward, but we really need to take care of ourselves in the process. We need to make sure that we're handling the stuff that is most impactful for our lives. And if we're feeling really stressed or we're feeling really pressured, especially if we have a lot of Aquarius or Leo energy, I meant to mention that earlier too. If we're feeling that major stress of Saturn being conjunct or opposite in energy, let's really take a look at it. And again, if you need help, I'm more than happy to help you, to offer suggestions, insights, and understanding of the situation. It can really be helpful. So again, my heart goes out to Taylor and his entire family, including his loved ones that aren't blood family. And I think that's a really good example that, as challenging as things might be, as much as there might be pressure, at least we are alive. And that means there's always hope for a better future. And when we pass on, that's it. So for those of us who are still here, we need to take heed of such a powerful lesson as that. Even if we don't know who that person is, again, we need to work with this pressure as much as possible. We have to work through it. Yeah. Such a tragedy. Infinite love to you, my friends. Namaste.